Hello guys and welcome to part 1 of our Movement Guide series. My name is Thomas, also known as Blobby, and in this video we are going to take a look at movement in Valorant and how you can use it to win more fights. Let's get right into it. The first thing you will have heard when you started out in Valorant is, stop the run and gun. This ain't Call of Duty. Stand still to shoot. And while this is partly accurate, movement is still a big part of fighting in Valorant, and not moving at all will make you an easy target for your opponents, especially as you get to the higher ranks. As you can see in this example, I have an extremely easy time killing my opponent that is just holding the angle without moving, compared to this opponent that dynamically moves and strafes during the fight. Okay, got it, movement is good. But how can I incorporate movement into my own game without fucking up my shooting accuracy? Well, movement is a quite complex topic, with many layers to pay attention to. So in this series, I'll try to break down the individual aspects for you to be able to better understand and follow. Let's start with the, in my opinion, most important aspect to movement, strafing. Strafing means moving sideways. It allows you to dynamically incorporate movement into your fights while maintaining your shooting accuracy, and without missing the optimal timing to shoot after the accuracy reset. Essentially it means that you can shoot as fast as you could standing still, while constantly moving around, making you a much harder target to hit. So how do you strafe? In order to strafe, you'll want to move between your shots using A and D. Every time you shoot or burst in Valorant, there's a small time window for your recoil to reset back to neutral, guaranteeing that your next shot will be accurate again. The goal is to be able to time your left and right strafes perfectly synced to that reset window, to not miss out on any opportunity to shoot at your opponent. To get a feeling for this reset window, I'd recommend you to first go on the range and turn on shooting arrow in the stats window. Now just tap and burst at the static bots and try to slowly build up momentum on your shooting rhythm until you reach the point where your accuracy doesn't reset in time for your next shot. The sweet spot you're looking for is right before that. Take your time with this step. It is important that you develop a feeling for this rhythm and no longer have to consciously think about it. Also keep in mind that the individual weapons slightly differ in their recoil reset time. Once you feel like you're ready, move on to the next step. Now that we know how to shoot, it is time to add movement. At first take it slow. Just try to move to the left and right and hit an accurate shot after coming to a stop. Then repeat. Keep in mind that movement and aim are connected. Because you are moving your character, you will have to use your aim to counteract your strafing movement in order to stay on target. This counter movement will be bigger if you strafe away from the target and smaller when you strafe towards it. Just try and get a feeling for it. If that feels comfortable, just like before, try to gradually add more speed to your rhythm and then practice until that new level feels comfortable. Eventually, you should be able to shoot as fast while moving as you could before when standing still. This is a lot harder than it looks, and don't worry if you don't manage to get it right away. Just like any other motor skill, it takes time, practice and repetition to settle in. Once you're at least somewhat comfortable with this, we are ready to move on to the last part. Counter-strafing means using the opposite directional key, so D if you're moving to the left or A if you're moving to the right, to cancel out the existing movement in order to instantly come to a stop, or to start moving in the opposite direction. In theory, this helps to come to a state of perfectly accurate shooting faster than you could when just letting go of the movement key, as you are actively cancelling the movement rather than just waiting out the time it takes for your agent to de-accelerate back to zero. However, unlike in Counter-Strike where this has a major impact on the ability to stop and shoot instantly, the advantages in Valorant are negligible. This does not mean counter-strafing in Valorant is useless though. If you get used to the timing of using the opposite directional key to stop your movement and shoot, you will have a much easier time alternating between strafing to the left and right, which will also help in building up more speed. Now, if you're not convinced yet, there's one more detail that makes counter-strafing simply superior to normal strafes. When counter-strafing, there's a very small window of opportunity right at the moment where your character switches between moving from one direction to the other. In this moment, it is essentially standing still for just long enough to fire a quick burst of 1 to 3 bullets before moving again, basically allowing you to never stop moving while being able to shoot accurately at your opponent, making you an absolute menace in competitive games. This mechanic can also be used in other strafing variations, such as jiggle peeking. and we'll go in depth into those in the following parts of the series, so stay tuned for that. If you now also feel comfortable doing smooth counter strafes, you should give yourself a pat on the back. Seriously, good job. Great, you now know how to strafe. This is huge. You will probably have to actively focus on it a lot at first, but it should become natural to you over time. Try to incorporate this into your gameplay whenever you can, as it will give you an advantage pretty much any time you encounter an opponent. Just remind yourself that whenever you are fighting someone, you should also be strafing to make yourself as difficult to hit as possible. I would also recommend you to go and practice strafing in deathmatches whenever you're bored of the competitive modes. Focus on your movement and make sure this becomes a habit over time. Trust me, it's worth it. Alright, so this concludes the first part of our movement guide series. In the second part, we'll go in depth about the different strafing variations and how to use your movement to engage opponents and open up angles. I am looking forward to seeing you again. Until then, much love, bye!